This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
Welcome to Behind the Scenes, for your half-assed entertainment news with no bullshit, with our hosts, Summer Helene and Bear Fiorda, only on Talk 4 Media.
G'day, guys. I'm your host, Summer Helene, and I might be dying.
Might be.
I might be. So I am trying. I'm now officially the Baroness of Ayrshire and Glenlyon.
Weren't you like always though?
I always was. They're just making me use it now. I'm putting a face mask on. I feel miserable.
You're feeling miserable, so you want to put on a face mask?
Yeah, well, I'm putting it on you. Bear gave me the flu. He didn't. I gave it to him.
I took care of her for a week straight. She went to New York for business. She comes back destroyed. I take care of her for a week, and this is how you repay me. You give me the flu.
Okay, hear me out. So Bear has a new channel he is doing. What is it called?
Bear the Goods.
Face me. And so essentially it's self-care. You might want to fiddle with this because I've done a terrible job.
No, you did great.
Look at this.
This is exactly what it's supposed to look like.
So Bear the Goods, but the main thing he's going to be...
I'm not fixing this.
You better fix this. The main thing, I'm taking some of the goo off this. This is actually really nice. The main thing he's doing, though, is going to be panties.
So what does this thing do? What?
It's hydrating. I thought you were going to be doing panties.
No. Why would I do that?
I thought you said panties because your penis consistently sticks to your legs.
No, I'm doing underwear.
That's
what
I said.
Men's underwear.
Panties.
No, when you say that, people are going to think it's women's underwear.
Well, you're always in my panties.
That's not the point. This thing is dripping across my face.
Well, then stick it down and stop being a girl about it.
I have a beard. It doesn't want to stick to my beard.
Well, stick it down. Wow, that actually feels really good. So we have an interesting show
wet.
today.
Why is it so wet?
Because it moisturizes, duh. So essentially, the way this works is you stick it to your face. This is not a paid advertisement, by the way, as you can tell. I think it might be too small for his face.
It is too small for my face.
You're fine. Just stick it down. Anywho. So we are going to be doing a lot going up, but we have a lot.
Nasty.
You've had worse in your mouth. I saw some of the women you dated.
That's not nice. What, does my face not look serious enough for you? Can't take me seriously when wearing this. This is the new outlook every time. I'm gonna come on.
I have a roll of toilet paper here
for
you to blow your nose.
I'm not blowing my nose right now.
I have a mask on your face.
I'm moisturizing.
I've done an excellent job of taking care of you. I've given him the flu. He loves it.
She gave me the flu, but you know what? You're moisturizing my skin right now, so I appreciate it. You put it in my mouth.
I'm trying to moisturize you. And I made him a big pot of soup, and at this point, we're just done. We're dying. But what we do have going on in the media is a little bit different right now.
Depends. We talking about how...
We have the Jake Paul-Mike Tyson fight.
Let's talk about that for a minute. Before we move on, who do you think's going to win?
Mike Tyson.
Why do you think Mike Tyson's going to win?
I mean, I love you. That is a dumbass question.
No, I want everyone's opinion on it. Write in the comments who you think's going to win the fight.
Why would the greatest fighter, one of the greatest fighters in the history of the world, beat Jake the Raper?
He's 60.
He's still fighting Jake the Raper.
That's it. I'm playing devil's advocate. I definitely think Mike Tyson's going to win this fight. At least I really want him to. If he doesn't come out the favor, I don't know how Jake's possibly going to pull that one off. But yeah, I mean, I think if it goes into the later rounds,
Tyson does. Yeah, he does. If he can outrun Tyson for like 5 rounds and just run away from him, fine.
Just run away, just tuck tail, turn around, or just go in circles around the boxing ring. Do a couple like dive rolls.
Can you open that?
007 dodging. What's this?
Just open it. Anyway.
This looks like a condom wrapper. Be a really big one.
Does that mean you have a really small one?
What it should tell you is that this is really juicy. It's very liquidy.
This is not that kind of show. Well, actually, this is exactly that show. That's why it is 18 and over.
18 and older for a reason.
So we have a lot going on in the media. We, of course, have the former prostitute known as Meghan Markle is back in the news again.
She's in the news every fucking week. She has never left the news.
I'm just at a point where I cannot conscience Now, as you guys know, I am a dyed-in-the-wool monarchist. No question. You are. I am fully a monarchist.
Of Lenin. You're a monarchist.
I'm. But there gets to a point when you deal with someone. This is now sliding down my face. This isn't even sticking.
Like I said, it's juicy. It's very wet.
It's very weird. But when you deal with somebody like the former prostitute known as Meghan Markle, right. It's like the former artist known as Prince. I am all for social.
Formerly known as Prince, right?
I am all for social climbing. And shout out to Beyond Pluto. Yeah, it's a YouTube channel for this information. They were talking about kind of what was going on with her in the news and everything. And they talked about, her constantly marrying for jobs and dating for jobs. And I just realized it was kind of the realization of, I am all for social climbing, but she moved past that directly into prostitution. I don't care if you want to be like a yacht girl. Cool. You do you.
She was with her last two husbands for a significant amount of time.
Yes, and they each got her jobs. They did an excellent job. Hence I said the former prostitute known as Meghan Markle.
And now she's with...
This goes on your hands.
What?
Backs of your hands. We are trying to teach him self-care because he gets punched in the face a lot, and I like his face, and I'd rather him not get ugma.
Is this going to help me not get ugly, though? Like, I feel if someone knees me in the face and cracks my orbital bone, it's possible. Serum is you will be
less attractive, but Kimberly May,
I will be less attractive. That's
and if I have to leave you because of that, I have to leave you. It's
How long does this stay on my face for?
Until it's completely dry, dear. Most of the show.
Oh, and then definitely not.
And then you'll be using this thing to drag along your neck.
What is that?
It's a stone. It essentially tells you how to moves fluid. Does that help?
Sure.
Today, Stiffy. So the reality is...
Did you say Stiffy or Sniffy?
Stiffy.
I heard Stiffy. I'm sorry, man. It's with an N. I just want to make sure.
I am concerned.
Oh my!
Well, you might want to tell everyone this is you've had to be sent in for a hearing test this week.
I did get sent in for a hearing test. I have my appointment coming up soon for the actual guy who's going to run it, and we're going to see what's wrong with my ears, if anything at all.
Well, one of two things. Either something's wrong with your ears or you are in so much trouble for consistently ignoring all of us.
Our audience members are confirming you called him Stiffy.
No, I called him Stiffy.
Anyways, welcome to the show, everyone in the audience. We appreciate you guys being here. On top of, speaking of things that are like, I was going to say, speaking of things that are illegal because prostitution with Meghan Markle, I think there's another thing in the same regard that I want to talk about. It's kind of left field.
Is it that horrible woman who insulted the Princess of Wales after her chemo treatment?
No, but we can definitely dive into that. Go ahead.
My God. So this woman turns around. Princess of Wales, for those that don't know, formerly known as Kate Middleton, just went through chemo. Bless her for it.
Yeah.
I myself am dealing with cancer, so I understand the stress that puts on.
Your body just keeps compounding.
Yeah, apparently it's not enough that I have lupus. My body felt that it needed to shake things up.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow this is Bear's fault. Anyway.
Yeah. I'll take the blame because maybe I can fix it.
What scared me the most is going through chemo. I'm like, if I start looking old and ugly, I'm getting a facelift. Like, I'm not one to screw around, screw aging naturally, whatever. So then this awful cow who made her money essentially being a troll turned around to the Princess of Wales and made a comment at the Remembrance Day service. For those who don't know what Remembrance Day is, where I come from, it's a remembrance of World War I, all the people that died. And from the beginning of November until the 11th, we wear a little poppy on
right there on the lapel.
Bear wears one too. Yeah. He's very respectful of it. And so we do that. Well, and it's in remembrance of those that died. Well, at the Remembrance Day service, the Princess of Wales, according to, I'm not even going to bring up this woman's name, according to some skank from Big Brother, who is a former prostitute known as Meghan Markle fan, turn around and said that the Princess of Wales essentially looked like crap and looked old and, is she a smoker? And so it came down to the woman just did chemotherapy. You don't look fabulous over that. I'm terrified of it. Like, my whole thing is, if I'm going to lose my hair and get fugmo because I'm pretty, I might actually skip chemotherapy. I know my family wouldn't let me. But
see, that to me says that she not only did not have any idea that she was going through chemo. She didn't bother to do any research. Like, why has she progressively gotten worse in appearance? What's going on with her? She just immediately
She hasn't. She just lost some weight. And I can tell you, I'm on Mounjaro right now, Ozempic, and my skin's a little loose because I lost weight. I mean, my boobs are still fantastic, but everything else is a little looser. It'll tighten up. So get off there.
Just checking.
But it is difficult. It is really difficult.
And so on top of her now having gone through the treatment too.
Exactly. She's having to do this. And so so you can go two ways. You're supposed to actually go inwards and have this drain. So you drag this stone in, and it's supposed to be a lymphatic draining thing. Frankly, I found that it does nothing. I just like the massage.
Babe, your ADD is showing.
No, I'm just telling them what this is. I'm not dragging it on your face. Anyway, so this aging tart.
This aging tart. Let's keep
insulted. No, she's an aging tart. She's 51 years old. She's got more plastic in her than I do. And she turned around and she's insulting the Princess of Wales. And then she turned around, accused the Princess of Wales of having Botox. And let me tell you, from a woman that has Botox, can't move the top half of my face, the Princess of Wales does not have Botox. She can move her face.
Yeah, quite effectively.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that I can't move mine. But realistically, what you're looking at with these people is she trolled for her 15 minutes of fame. That's all she wanted.
I'm trying to make it to where I don't eat this thing. Sorry. You may continue. Don't mind me.
Oh, thank you so much for your permission.
You're welcome.
Anyway, so she's tried to essentially troll for attention, and she's got the attention.
Yeah.
The problem is, it's not the attention she wanted, and the whole country turned on her. Well, what exactly did you expect? You're picking on a cancer victim.
On top of that, you're picking on a cancer victim that's in the hearts of many.
Yep. And you pick on the Princess of Wales, buddy, you're not doing well. You have to remember, like, King Charles is the first reigning king to go to Australia. So points to him, by the way. Love my king.
I can't believe that Elizabeth never went to Australia.
She did, but not as queen. So what will happen is the reigning monarch very rarely leaves the United Kingdom. Mm-hmm. They'll send the heirs, like, so Prince Charles had been there many, many, many times.
And?
But that was while the Queen reigned. The reigning king does not usually go to Australia. But right now, because we want to keep the Commonwealth together, the fear is after losing her late majesty that it's going to affect the Commonwealth.
People want to split up and want to.
We don't want to do that, especially when the former prostitute known as Meghan Markle. And I'm going to keep saying that, and I encourage her to sue me. We actually have the records of this. So I'm more than happy to go through this.
We'll sue you for defamation.
Oh, she can't sue me for defamation. It's actually out there, her time on the yachts, what she did for money, that whole thing. And no problem to it. I'm encouraging social climbing.
Right.
Just don't mess with my monarchy.
I think she has so many other problems right now that she's not going to bother with
she's been
being called a prostitute at this point.
She was an actual prostitute.
I hear you.
By definition. The thing is...
By definition. She wasn't walking the streets, but she was definitely on someone's corner.
Well, exactly. Selling for money. But the reality is, I have no problem with social climbing. I encourage it. If you and, I'm titled, no problem. But I do have a real problem with people that use my monarchy to their advantage. We're working with Nigeria. Wonderful king, one of the kings of Nigeria that we're working with. Lovely, lovely man. I respect monarchy no matter where it comes from. My problem is those that don't.
That's fair enough. A lot of people don't, though. I mean, a lot of people want the monarchy to be abolished. They don't want to have it.
Oh, what do they want? You had Biden and Trump run.
Well, you guys would still have your parliament. You would still have your system. But you just wouldn't have the royals now.
Oh, what are we going to do? Turn into America? You guys are 250 years old and still in danger of breaking along the Mason-Dixon line.
Well, to be fair, 250 is really young for a country.
Exactly. You're essentially infants, and you're already falling apart.
We got to go through a couple of revolutions before we get it together.
You've had a couple of revolutions, and it's not gone well.
Have we now?
Yes.
We had one revolution, and we had one, uprising that didn't go anywhere. You know what I mean? Plus, they were fighting to keep slaves, so
that's a whole different.
We don't want to go into that one.
This is the American education system at work.
What are you referring to? What were two revolutions?
Okay, you had your fight with Mexico. You had your fight where you took land that way. You had an additional fight where France backed you. You had your fight with Canada.
France backed us in the Civil War. Yeah.
and the revolutionary. Please send your children to private school.
No, friends did too. I'm not saying we didn't know it. I don't know that.
Why don't we get back on fighting? That's something you know.
You know what I want to get back on?
Hmm.
I just thought about this. Do we have time to go over that police story?
Sure.
Oh, yes. This is
and
fantastic.
Then we're going to jump on with His Highness, but I don't think it's a good segue, so I'd like a segue in between.
Let's segue in between then.
So why don't you tell them what happened with those awful police? Now, that being said, for anyone that knows, I am hardcore pro-police, so it pisses me off when stuff like this happens.
So 2 police officers, St. Louis, Missouri. We've gone through all the topics we touched on, royals, news, trending topics. This one is weird to be trending, to be on topic. 2 police officers were indicted on charges in St. Louis, Missouri of pulling over various women, confiscating their phones under the guise of searching for credible insurance and licensing of the cars in person, and just scrolling through their photos for nudes, just trying to find photos of explicit content, and then they would send it to themselves or take photos on their own phone. They did this for upwards of like 5 years. This has been going on for a long time, and they finally got charges and lawyers together, and now both men have been taken off the force. One of them has resigned.
Good. There are so many good police officers. Something I think people don't think of.
Really.
Well, something people don't think of.
Mm-hmm.
The worst day of your life is that police officers every day.
Yeah, except those guys.
Except for these 2 who are scumbags.
Those guys are making it.
And a few bad apples. Oh, I hate when they spoil the bunch. I do. I think it's dreadful.
They really do. It's very easy to blame all police officers instead of just looking at the individual case of those who are bad.
And so a few scumbags ruin the bunch. So I am simply saying I prefer to see a much nicer. I don't like the way we've started treating our police officers at all.
I don't like the way we treat.
I don't like the way we treat our military.
Yeah.
I don't like the way America does that. And I say this as a person who this is my country by choice. I don't have to be here.
You have your documentation. You were.
I'm Australian.
Yeah, I know you're Australian, but you're also an American citizen too.
I am now.
Right?
Yeah. But apparently, whenever I vote to return the UK, America to the Commonwealth, nobody agrees with me.
That vote doesn't get very far. You get to write in what you want on your own ballots, but you don't get to say that.
Apparently, King Charles, the answer is no. So I would like to welcome
Speaking of royalty.
Yeah, speaking of royalty, I would like to welcome to our show
Prince Lorenzo. Welcome, sir.
Hello. If I knew it, I will have done some Italian olive oil matte cream to be matching with you.
Well, we're usually done up a little better, but we have the worst flu I think we've had in a very long time. So we're sort of hiding at home, and I'm trying to get him to look decent before the event tomorrow. Now, how are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Would you tell everyone a little bit about yourself? And then I have about 800 questions because princes are very rare on the ground here in America. So we have a lot of interest from the audience.
Lucky to be born in Italy, in the south of Italy. Lucky to grow up in Italy, and from one of the oldest family in the world. Mm-hmm. My family has more than 1,000 years, so we can track almost every one of the members of the family. And I'm probably one of the more naive and more international of all my cousins. And grew up with art and books and history and philanthropy and having fun around the world and using some of my family heritage to make the history back and to help people if I need.
I think that's wonderful.
This is gonna be a 2-part question, but I want to start with what are some perks and benefits that people may not be aware of that come with being a prince or being part of a royal family?
Sometimes if you go to check-in, they allowed you to get 2 luggage for free everywhere in the world just because you're Medici, or you get to don't check your passport at the customs. Sometimes you can pass the line if you go to places like Turkey or Dubai or other places. Instead of being 1 hour and a half waiting, you have a special pass and getting free opera, free ride to the space. I get invited to go to space a few times for free. I didn't went, but that's the kind of invitation you get.
Why didn't you go? That's a new question.
I'm still thinking about. They want to bring me and my art on the space, and I have asked my daughter if I should go, and she's 9, and she said, "You know what? I don't think it's a good idea." She said, "But you know what? Good luck if you want to go." So I'm just thinking, maybe. I'm still on the maybe.
It would make you the first royal in space, and it would mean you're
and probably the last. We don't know yet. Yeah.
It's not that I don't love my monarchy, but we're not going to see the Prince of Wales going up there anytime soon. You should go.
Maybe if you want, I'll invite some of your royalty from England to come with me. Maybe we keep them in the station up there and we leave them there.
Oh no!
Right. They stole, unfortunately, they stole from my family so much money, so much gold, so much treasure that if the Queen of England at that time have given me 10% back of what she stole, I will be the richest man in the world. So unfortunately, there was a rules. My family was a banker family. There was 2 rules. We don't borrow money to religion or to religious people, and we don't borrow money to politician. Politician at the time means king and queen, means royal people at the time. Unfortunately, in one moment of the Medici Bank life, we give money to the church and we give money to the Queen of England. Neither of them give us back any money, and with bankruptcy. So somehow I still have a little bit of anger against the British monarchy.
So most of the monarchies have had problems. It's very funny. There's been a lot of intermarrying and a lot of fighting between the monarchies.
And both together.
Yes.
They were fighting when they were marrying. There was a money problem and land problem. So a lot of time they were trying to fix the problem in bed, but it didn't work so well.
Yeah, no,
Gotcha.
it did not. Now, you come from one of the most famous families in global history. Do you find your name comes with a lot of pressure? I mean, there isn't a person, I mean, maybe Americans don't know, but, the normal rest of the world, there isn't a person in the world that doesn't know your family.
It's true. It comes with a lot of responsibilities and a lot of limitation. And unless you have a double life, so I try to have a double life where I'm just Lorenzo. I have places where nobody knows, cities where I have a house that nobody knows, and they just know I'm Lorenzo. I never say my last name. I invent a last name. I copy a friend of mine last name, sometimes to book restaurant. So in that town I can be and then I have the official life that brings me to get free ride to the space or to the moon in the future, or bring some art. They offer me to bring some of my art to the moon, but I'm just saying, happened to me all over the world. I had a beautiful, blessed life because of my family heritage, and I met most interesting people in the world. And so, of course, I'll tell you a funny story. The first time, because the way I saw the way you play between the two of you, I can be dirty in a good way.
Oh yes.
So that's why I understand the kind of. And so the first time my mother sent me to be an official representative of the Medici family, I was like probably 18 or 19, and maybe 18. Let's say 17. Let's say 17 or 18. And I was virgin at the time, never had any relationship. I grew up in a beautiful countryside house with beautiful olive oil and wineries. My family owns a winery in Italy, and olive oils and cows and nature and art, no internet. So she sent me to the island of Malta, little island in a beautiful island in the Mediterranean Sea, to represent during their carnival, which is a big event, and I have to open their most important art exhibition. And there was a lot of these elegant men who were very old-style men, dressed super elegant. And I made my speech, and after the speech, we had a cocktail. And one of these big men, really fat and big and very elegant, came to me, and I was young, and he said, "Excuse me, can I touch you?" At that point, I was, I'm 17, I never had sex before. I don't know. I was like, oh my God, this man wants to touch me. Like, why, what, where, what? Like, start thinking all those things. At some point, I'm asking him, say, where? So this man understand and say, Giovanotto, means young guy. I love your family so much that for me, have the honor of touching you is like touching 1,000 years of development of the history of the culture of the world. So at that point, I say, you can touch me wherever you want, now that I know. And so that was my first event to be a Medici and an official event. So it comes with learning a lot.
I think incredible. No matter what preparation you've gone through in life, that moment probably would have still caught you off guard.
Well, yes.
Yes.
That's going to be a bit of a
Wasn't
shock.
ready to be asked that today.
No. Yeah.
Now, so I'm going to tell the audience, for those that don't know, please, I'm going to ask you to look up this family. It is one of the oldest families in the world. And, you know, mine, you can trace back to William the Conqueror. They're older by a lot. So go.
My family had 4 pope and 2 queen. So my family have, just so the audience to know, my family can claim to have invented tiramisu, to have sponsorized Leonardo da Vinci, to have sponsorized Galileo Galilei, and the first time Galileo was discovering the star, he was paid to look the star, and he found that there's more than one moon. And so he decided to call the moon with the name of the De Medici. So in the books, we have the name of the moon. Instead of being called moon, it's called Sidera Medicea, who means Star of Medici. So the moon that you're looking in the old time was called Medici Star, just to give you an idea of how the family was very prominent and very big.
Cool. I love that. It's the moon named after your family.
That's it. Yeah. It's so you have to look at, if not for your family, we wouldn't have the art, philosophy, history, astronomy that we do now. Back in the day, for those that don't know, scientists, artists were not state sponsored. They were sponsored by families usually. And so His Highness's family were the ones that sponsored some of the greatest scientists and artists,
greatest minds
architects, some of the greatest minds in history. And also after the fact preserved those works. So it's incredible. What now? Do you find a lot of pressure being related the way you are?
I find pressure when they ask me questions that may don't have an answer, you know, in the moment where at some point, you know, when you start having Bitcoin or you start having NFTs, you know, when they ask you what the Medici family thinks about NFTs, I give you an example. It sounds an easy question, but it's very complicated because I can talk about myself, but I cannot talk about the name of the Medici, the whole family. We have a big family. So I'm trying to be diplomatic and say, you know, I think this, but the Medici family probably think that. So sometimes, you know, you have to, when you give an answer, it depends what kind of question, if it is related to the Lorenzo as a person or is related to the De Medici family, that the Medici family was one of the top 10 family most important in the world. And so we still have responsibilities. And so it depends the question from who is giving to me.
Right. The NFT questions, we don't have to dive into that, but I imagine that one's pretty hard because nowadays NFTs are synonymous with just scams and scandals. Pretty much every time you sign on to one, you're going to lose money, whether you think it's a good investment or not. So I think
that's
for
a
sure
throwback to the Jake
being
Paul
able to separate those two of like, hey, this is my thing, this is for the family, it'd be really crucial at that point.
Yeah.
As we're talking, you mentioned a lot about art, and I'm not a big art aficionado. I'm not big into it. I don't really know anything about it. That's why I want to ask. So what got you into it to begin with? Because you could have picked any kind of career you wanted, but you chose to be an artist instead. How come?
My mother was a painter, and the art allows you to talk in a way that there is no Medici or there is no Lorenzo. So it's a combine between the two of them. And so my art can talk and can tell things to the world that probably as a Medici I cannot, or maybe I don't know if I should, and as a Lorenzo. So I made portrait, and the one behind me is a portrait of my ancestor, the one you see here. And
very nice.
Yes, so this is Lorenzo the Magnificent. And so I play with words and information. So I tell to the world if they were nice, if they were bad, if they have sex addiction, if they have killed people, if they have invented tiramisu or many other things. So I use the art to be a vehicle for the next generation to talk about the Medicis. and in a way that new people can ask themselves, oh wow, I didn't know that the Medici, the symbol of the Medici was a lion, and the Lion of Venice, it was brought by the Medici when they went to Venice, and so many things like this through the art allowed me to get different religion, different countries, so it's not limited to USA, but the whole world. Through the art, you can open to Israel as well. You can open to Pakistan, or Colombia, or wherever. So the art doesn't have really that political barrier as a man that maybe I should. So I was allowed to go to any place in the world with my art and meet interesting people that love art, independent of their background, religion, or sex, or wherever. They all love art, and art doesn't have barrier.
I love that. So you're basically making a universal language right here. No matter where you are, who you are, you're able to appreciate what you see, and that's important. I love that. Absolutely. Do you do portrait style just like that? Mostly? Okay. I was gonna say it actually kind of resembles you very well too. I feel like there's a little bit of yourself is in that artwork right there.
It looks like, and it's called Renaissance Pop because I put together the Renaissance and the pop, and the one is behind me is a bronze of my ancestor Lorenzo de Medici. Is an original one.
Wow.
Beautiful.
With so much
I love pop art, so I love that combination of kind of the classic mixed with the pop. That is a very, very unique.
Thank you.
Unique style.
You know, with so much in your family and so much history, do you have a point where you can say I love this story, or I love this time, this period of time for my family, just something that sticks out to you that you've learned about over the years?
Sorry, I didn't understand.
Basically, when you look back at your family history, when you look back at the 1,000+ years, what's your favorite time that your family's around? Something
what's your favorite family story?
Okay, fair enough.
I think there's so many stories, but I think the fact that Leonardo da Vinci, who was an incredible man, have worked for my family and protect my family in many ways because we give him freedom. He was a very tough guy and a smart guy, and he needed someone to protect him. We have protected him many times, and so he was always loyal to us, and he created for us a lot of things. He invented the modern military weapons, like cannon and other tools to defend Florence against the enemies, just for us. He changed the way we eat today, because before Leonardo, we were eating cold. And so when he was at the court of Medici, he said, how possible this billionaire family, such important family, eat cold? And so he created a portable microwave to make the food hot when arrive at the table of the royals. And so since then we have hot meal thanks to Leonardo da Vinci and to the Medici family. So people owe me a lot of hot meal in their life because they had no idea, but that's really happened during the history. So Leonardo for sure, and the relationship with Medici is the most beautiful story.
That's insane. He made the microwave?
Yeah, he also invented.
I didn't know that.
He also invented the helicopter, by the way. He did language.
It's sorry, but I'm very uncultured. I sometimes curse out of place. But
that's why you have a woman next to you so cultured.
Yes, absolutely.
So you can be like a couple needs to be done by both. Someone is cultured and maybe is not the nicest person in the world, and you are probably the nicest person in the world, and she needs your nice soul.
Yeah, very much.
Absolutely.
Very much.
I just find it incredible that he did all these things, and you guys are the reason why he was able to do it. I can't imagine where he would have been and where we would be as a society if your family wasn't around taking care of this stuff.
I'll tell you a secret. I have dated long time ago. Now she's married, has kids, and a good friend of mine. I have dated the granddaughter of the Mona Lisa. So, when you grow up in an environment like mine, you date the Mona Lisa family, who were enemy of the De Medici. The Mona Lisa family, the family that Leonardo painted, the Mona Lisa, is a very big families of bankers that were a rival of the De Medicis. And so after so many years, just happened that I met, she's a princess, her name is Natalia, and she's a dancer. And so let's say things after 600 years did not change. You still interact between the same families and the same DNA and same blood. When I went to her house, She has one of the most beautiful palaces in Tuscany. And, Tony Blair. Remember, Tony Blair happened to play tennis in her house every summer in Tuscany. He's a very good tennis player. So he was playing with the father of this princess. And so I went to her palace one time, and I went to the kitchen, and it was a big board that says, "We eat Medici's in this house." In the kitchen. Imagine, I was like a young guy, like maybe 22. You get there, and you say, "We eat Medici's in this house," like for lunch, it means, in the kitchen. So
amazing.
I love that. It's funny.
Do you find a lot of the old prejudices from the different families still affect things today?
I think so. Yes, maybe less than before, but yes.
It's still, I agree.
That makes sense. Now, I'm not even sure what you mean by it. What do you mean prejudices?
So certain families...
prejudice means exactly what you say about you. She says prejudice about you. So ask yourself what does mean.
Okay, fair enough.
It's okay, I'm joking.
No, don't worry.
It's, so for example... you and I can date because it's the 21st century, but 100 years ago, I wouldn't have even been allowed to talk to you.
And in some country, unfortunately today, people don't really realize, but countries like South Korea and Japan, there was royal family in the past. Still today, unless you are on some specific highly society, you cannot date somebody who is from a lower society. And
they actually kicked the princess out. I think it was in the 80s when she married a commoner. She was just cut off from the family.
Yeah, until the 50s, 40s, 50s, even 70s, until the Cold War. During the Cold War, it was a sad story, and I met one time one of the most beautiful women I ever met in my life, and she told me the story. It was sad. Her father was a Japanese ambassador, and the mother was a handball cleaner from Russia, and they had an affair, and this beautiful woman was born, and the ambassador of Japan, because he had kids with someone who was not from the same blood family, he killed himself because it was a shame in Japan at the time just to have somebody who is not. And still today in some part of Asia it works like this.
The current emperor, the heir apparent was going to be the daughter of the current emperor, but they went and had IVF. His, I believe, sister went to have IVF to try and get a male heir because they still won't give the throne to a woman.
But history did not change so much, because at the end, even during the Renaissance and during our time, a lot of time we get married for money reason or blood reason, or because our parents were forcing us. But then we were sleeping in the bed in the room with the mate or with somebody who was more nicer than our partner, and so a lot of our kids in the old time were probably not the kids that were from the blood, but they were smarter. Some of them were smarter because we were not from the things. In my family, we had people don't really talk about this, incredible, and we had one of the smartest members of the Medici family was a black Medici. His name was Alessandro de Medici, because Medici, his father, had an affair with I will say slave. At that time was working from Africa, a woman who was working for Africa coming to Florence. And then the father recognized the son, and the son became Prince of Florence. So the Medici were very open-minded, because, black, and he was probably one of the most intelligent of all the members of the Medici family. And so we had a black Medici member in our family.
So their family was actually more progressive than most of the European royal families.
Yes. We were so progressive. That's a good point. We were so progressive that everybody hate us. And many time they have the religion, the church have taken us out from their mailing list for the people of today to understand what does mean to be in the black list. So we were in the black list of the Vatican and many other religions, including the Anglican religion and many others, because people don't really tell the story, but this is a fun story, because there was the King of England had a lover, and he wanted, beautiful lover, by the way. He wanted to marry the lover and get a divorce. So he asked to the Pope of Rome to get a divorce. And
oh, I think we froze. Your Highness, I think we froze a little bit.
Yeah, I think so.
I think we froze.
All right. Pop back in a second.
We there?
So he tried to bribe the Pope. He tried to convince the Pope, tried to do everything, but the Pope said, no, you're married. You cannot divorce your wife. You cannot have this lover, marry this lover. So at some point, the King of England was so pissed off that he decided to split and build a new religion called the Anglican religion, and make himself a Pope of the Anglican religion so he can divorce himself and finally marry the woman that he loves so much. And that's how the Anglican religion happened, and put the De Medici in the blacklist of enemy of the Anglican religion.
Wow.
So that was Henry VIII, and he was trying to divorce Anne of Cleves to marry Anne Boleyn. And he did. He started that church. And the law still says, so my family is Catholic. And that means can never be in direct line for the throne. We can keep the noble titles, we can be part of the peerage, but you cannot be in line to the throne. That's how far back that goes.
Yeah.
And that actually did. We were not happy with your family over that. They started a whole new religion.
Well, I'm curious. I wanted to ask just before we dived into this topic.
And it caused more wars than any other thing in history, by the way.
Fair enough. With how progressive your family was, and you mentioned how you guys can be traced back to over 1,000 years. Do you think the progressiveness is what allowed your family to thrive and be successful for so long?
Beautiful, intelligent question. My family was always thinking about the future, never about the present. So in every decision they have done, they always were thinking about community. And community is very important. And so when you think about the citizen of your town, you invest for prosperity in your own town, in your region. And that goes beyond just investing for your personal pleasure, for your personal money in your family. So that's brought to have the people love the Medici always, and be able to have always welcome back every time they were coming back to Florence. And with investment for a century to go, they have kept their progress and their wealth up to today.
That's fantastic. And it's such a good example, because you look at a lot of people in power today, royals or not, sometimes they're just always was about self-preservation. What can I get out of it? What's this going to do for me? And they, especially, I hate to say it, but here in the United States, so many of our own politicians are really just after what's good for themselves, not what's good for the constituents, not what's good for the people that put them in office to begin with.
It's new money. Sorry, I know I sound terrible when I say that.
But I think it's everywhere. Unfortunately, politicians are the same everywhere. So I don't think in my country is better than yours. So
no, I criticize because I live here and I know most about it, but I don't know like the ins and outs of other countries, so I can't speak on that behalf. I just know here.
America's very young.
Yes.
It's making a lot of the mistakes the rest of the world made a long time ago.
Well,
but
that's fair.
Now that being said, I live in America by choice. And I've done quite well here business-wise, so I'm not going to complain. But, I don't think people realize how many royals actually do live here. I'm trying to rope you into a television show for it, actually. I'm trying to drag you into a television show because there are a lot of royals hidden here in America.
Yes,
it's true. It's where you get unknown. Nobody knows who you are.
Exactly. It's true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's actually an interesting question too. What's the difference between? I imagine where you live, especially when you come out of town, you can't just walk 2 feet outside your house without someone recognizing you're trying to stop you for something. So is it
But it doesn't work like this. It doesn't work like this in general, like it was before. Now new generation, new people have different now. With Instagram and things, people are more interested in a TikToker, famous person than anyone else. Now the new generation, everything it's about the social media, and so in this case we're more lucky because they don't know so well about us as the previous generation. So the previous generation were shocked when they know my name or the Medici. Were like, oh my God, it's the best day of their life just to meet me wherever it was. And I'm telling, as she say, my family is known all over the planet. It doesn't matter if it's from Australia to Singapore to Guatemala or Honduras or wherever, or Cuba. I've been to Cuba. I was lucky to be to Cuba in the past a few times. I smoked cigars, and I went to do my own cigars in Cuba, and they study the Medici family in the book in Cuba. So, you know, that's they know my family. If you go to Russia, people expect in Russia, in Moscow, there is a copy of all the artwork from the Florence Uffizi, a copy, but still people can go and see the busts that I just showed you of Lorenzo the Magnificent there. So, you know, so that's what I say. So in Kazakhstan, I've been to Kazakhstan, guest of I've been in a lot of fashion and pageant event, like, you know, Miss Venezuela, Miss Kazakhstan, as the head judge, as I love to see art in women as well. So for me, I consider them a beautiful art piece too. And so at that point, I went to Kazakhstan, and they brought me to a street that was called Medici. And so my family is almost everywhere. The presence was everywhere. So it's incredible still to discover. There's a lot of stuff that my family have done that still the world don't know, and that's my mission to bring them. I have my own 501c3, my foundation is called the De Medici Foundation, where I want to bring to another level all the things that was started by my family in the Renaissance, to bring them back today for the future generation in innovation, in many things, from politics with stability. The Medici were the first and only family where there was peace when they were the Medici. Yep. And they build peace, they finance peace. So I wish we could have peace very soon, and I'm very sad for all this war. So I think that the Medici can still continue to give the same help to the world, having fun.
We
Absolutely.
need to discuss a documentary. That's actually something we should do. If you go through a lot of the history books, when you read some of the things, some of the entries from Galileo, when you look in your history books, and I encourage everyone to do this, you'll see a lot of the replicas and copies in your books. It will tell you it's been brought to you by the Medici family. It will say this under or sponsored by. And so I encourage you, read those little plaques at the bottom, look at where this came from and how much has been given.
It's true.
Truly. I love that. I love that your family's basically everywhere, has been everywhere. You made an impact wherever you guys went. That's
They
really
changed
cool.
the history of the world.
Well, that's just it. Yeah, exactly. You changed the history of the world.
You know, people don't know, but we finance part of the expedition of Cristoforo Columbus to come to America too, because we were looking for a new world, for freedom. We use the word freedom. There was not a lot of political freedom at that time, and the Medici were looking for new place to build freedom, and they finance as well part of Cristoforo Columbus expedition. So
So we have about 3 minutes left. The two families I would encourage you all to look up, because they did it in two different ways. The Medici did it longer and better. I always say, look at the Rothschilds. The one thing they got very right is they didn't do priogenesis, meaning the eldest inherited. They went by the smartest inherited. What your family did that I found perfect was they spread from art to history to finance. They changed the entire course of the world. So I know this has turned into a history lesson for everyone out there, and this is usually kind of a salacious show where we talk about, the ins and outs of Hollywood. But I promise you, if you look into this family, there's a lot of salaciousness there too.
Absolutely. A lot. We can have many episodes just on the salacious, whatever words you use about the Medici. I think that should be a show. That should be the show. So the salaciousness, whatever of the Medici.
The salaciousness, the naughty. I love it.
Fuck around a lot in our life.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I'd like to
1,000 years if we got something.
Oh, they got some. Well, they're also known, and I'm sorry to say this, Highness, but I am. They were also known as some of the best lovers in history. I'm not kidding. That's actually in history books.
It's true. Absolutely, I guarantee it still continues to tweet in this way. Exactly. We have a lot of talent in our DNA. Our family crest just FYI has 6 balls. That's why we're sexually advanced than anyone else, because that's the symbol of my family crest, 6 balls. So we can perform better than anyone else because we have extra balls to use.
I like that. I'm going to tell everyone this. Look up the family. We have a giveaway this week at Off-Road Rentals. I know we're not shooting there this week. We will be back to our regular place next week. Look it up. We've got some giveaways. Shout out to KMX 10s. Shout out to Tiny Bubbles Hair Salon. Shout out to Matthew Morris Fine Jewelry. Thank you for the Vivian Westwood. And of course, shout out to Runway. I do want to say, look up his family, give me the most interesting tidbit, and you can be our winner for the week. But you have to follow him and his foundation as well. Tell them where to find you.
Yes, they can find me on Instagram. I'm building the foundation now, a website and everything that will be the demedicifoundation.org. And we're still working. We're working on the website, and then they can find me on Instagram, and it's Lorenzo de Medici original. As I found out a few times ago that some people were putting my picture and tried to pretend that was me just to date girls. So I had to find now. So on Instagram now I put original because many people have used me and they date. You know what's funny? I'll tell you a story. That's the last story. I have to go. I have an appointment with my accountant, but I'll tell you a story. I was in Rome and I get a phone call by someone from Australia. I say, from Australia, like, some guy, are you the Medici, Lorenzo? I say, yes. I'm in the hospital in Australia. Your girlfriend had an accident. She's in the hospital. And I said, look, I have dated many women, but I've never dated an Australian woman. So it's impossible that a girlfriend of mine is in the hospital in Australia. And no, she said that she's your girlfriend, that you have dated online. Now, I never dated online, maybe old style, but I've never dated online. I'm lucky enough to date live. I don't need to go the online. So at some point I say, okay, but what's on? She had a big accident. She maybe died. She want to talk with you. Because you say, you know what? If I have to pretend to be the boyfriend, that's okay. If she's dying, let me pretend to be. So I'm talking with this girl, and she said, but how you don't know me? So she was dating somebody who was using my picture and everything on Instagram, and they exchange things, and they end. So he was pretending, and then I decided, I should have one. So it's called Lorenzo de Medici Original on Instagram.
I like
That's
that.
Fantastic.
That's
what that speaks highly of you, though, man. People are trying to impersonate you to date other women.
Oh yes, it would work. Yeah. Most of it.
It worked. It worked for many people. I mean,
when I was a debutante, you say that name, every girl I know is coming running. I promise.
It's true. It's true. Sometimes I had fast date just because I was who I am. So just because being Prince Lorenzo de Medici, it will help me in the past to have beautiful life.
Fair enough.
Thank you so much for joining us. I am so excited. For those that don't know, we're doing a show right now, Royalty in America. We want to focus on His Highness here and other royals hiding here in America. And sir, thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. Okay. Bye-bye to all.
You too.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us. This is Behind the Scenes. I'm going to go back to bed and be ill. I think, actually, we're trying to get His Highness to come join us at Spa Star tomorrow. I don't know if he's going to. I'm really hoping he is. We've got that tomorrow. We're going to be at Spa Star. Bear will be there. We also have a film premiere and a runway show we're going to be stopping in on for Alexis Monsanto. So we're going to be stopping in a few different places tomorrow. All of them are going to be very short stops. So if you want to see Bear, that's where we'll be. You can see him without the mask today. See, that counts.
Hey, I look gorgeous. The exact same.
It's supposed to get rid of some of those wrinkles. He's getting wrinkly. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Yes, as
I'm
always.
Summer Helene.
I'm Bear Fiorda.
This was Behind the Scenes.
We'll see you next week.
Good night.
This has been Behind the Scenes with Summer Helene and Bear Fiorda. Only on Talk 4 Media.